First tonight, police are urging victims of abuse in former children's homes and secure units to come forward to help a new and wide-ranging investigation.
Operation Xeres is looking at historical allegations of physical and sexual abuse going back over 70 years. It's the second major child abuse inquiry by Nottinghamshire Police. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball reports.
Another former children's home and another criminal investigation. Here at Skegby Hall, there are allegations that date back to the 1940s. They're part of a county-wide inquiry into claims that teenagers in care were raped and that children as young as 8 were physically abused or neglected.
We're extremely concerned, and at the moment we're working on identifying patterns, any links between those allegations that have been made. So far we haven't identified any information that would suggest that any of the abuse was organised. We're looking at individual allegations of abuse against individual suspects.
Nigel's one of the people who've already come forward to say they were victims. He says he was raped repeatedly at the Watton Youth Detention Centre by an officer who's since died.
I was terrified of him. He gave me a cigarette, which he lit and gave to me to smoke, and then turned round to me and said, "Oh, you're smoking. That's illegal in here. You're on punishment." Led to me being thrown to the floor and forced to do a sexual act on him.
And now Watton and Skegby Hall are among 10 former residential centres where allegations are being investigated. There are 3 more in Mansfield and 5 homes and secure units around Worksop, Newark and Stapleford. They've all changed use since the time of the allegations. The complaints have been prompted by widespread publicity about a separate Nottinghamshire Police investigation called Operation Daybreak. That's focused on the Beechwood Children's Home in Nottingham, and that inquiry has already prompted several arrests and several criminal charges.
They have been covering it up since 2003!
It's also prompted this angry campaign by victims convinced that their complaints have been swept under the carpet. But the police say they're doing all they can.
It's extremely difficult to investigate. The availability of records going back to, for example, the 1940s is very scarce. The rules around retention of material have changed dramatically, and we would urge anyone that's been a victim of abuse within any of the 10 locations that we're looking at, or indeed more widely than that, contact Nottinghamshire Police.
Operation Xeres is still in its early days, but the police say they're determined to get to the truth of what happened in Nottinghamshire's care system.
And Jeremy is with us now in the studio to tell us more. Jeremy, how complex is this investigation?
It's hugely challenging because these allegations are so wide-ranging and so old. A number of problems. First of all, some of the people who've been accused of abuse have already died. That means there's no suspect for the police to question. As we've heard, some council records weren't kept. That means the inquiry's lost vital evidence. Added to that, some of these allegations of physical abuse amount to corporal punishment that was perfectly legal at the time. In that case, of course, no crime to prosecute, so a really difficult investigation.
But this is the Nottinghamshire Force second big child abuse inquiry. How many potential victims do you think they could be dealing with?
Well, in all, they're already dealing with over 150, the vast majority of those part of Operation Daybreak, the long-running inquiry. Operation Xeres has only just started. Already, though, that's dealing with more than 20 people who say they were victims of abuse. Now, I think as a result of today's appeal, the police can expect to see that number increase as well. They say all complaints are going to be taken seriously, and they also say any victims who do come forward will be offered help from support services.
OK, thanks very much indeed, Jeremy.